Hey guys, today we're replacing the motor on a Captive Aire range hood. The hood that we're working on does the ovens at this location, and it has a CPI control panel, which is I think Carolina Products Industries or something like that. And what it does is if there's not proper airflow for any one of the hoods, it will actually shut down the outlets going to those appliances. And I think that is an important feature to have when you've got, you know, range hoods that are above fryers, or, you know, charbroilers, or something that is combusting gas and has exhaust, because those are actually dangerous in that when the hood goes down, the combustion gases will go back into the restaurant, and if the equipment is not burning properly, it can actually poison people with carbon monoxide and be a danger that way. This one is only above the ovens, which are just electric ovens, so I don't really know why they have it kick the ovens off when the hood is down. At least it lets you know there's a problem, but I think it would have been better if it hadn't kicked the ovens off, because the only thing it would do to your restaurant is make your kitchen run a little warmer, but it wouldn't actually be a danger to your health. The other thing that control panel does is it actually shuts off hoods at certain times of the day, because they're just not needed. Like, they don't use the ovens really throughout the day, so I think it automatically shuts them off at like noon. There's 3 tabs on here, and you can remove the lid. When I was here, I actually attempted to run it with a new capacitor just in case there was something wrong with the capacitor, but we'll hook it back up here and I'll show you what it was doing. Obviously the new capacitor did not help the problem any. You just gotta disconnect right here. That's what the motor sounds like. The bearing on the bottom just got eaten out, so the motor wasn't actually turning anymore. And once it does that, the windings in the motor just get extremely hot. When I came up here to check it, the whole motor was so hot you couldn't touch it. The capacitor was starting to swell up, and at that point it's just time for a new motor. So we got a new motor ordered up, and we're gonna go ahead and replace this thing. First thing we're gonna do, we've got the power off to it. Go ahead and disconnect this plug. Of course, make sure your power is off to the unit. And we're gonna remove the flywheel before we remove what actually mounts this in here. And I don't really love the design that they have here, but what these are is they're a rubber, like, vibration absorber thing that has a stud in it, but that stud is only captive in the rubber. So oftentimes this rubber piece will start to wear, and it will actually crack in half, and then the motor can just flop around. So Captive Aire, if you're watching this, I would really appreciate it if you make a stud that actually mounts down into the aluminum somehow, or has like a spacer and a washer or something on the bottom, so that when these rubber things wear out, the motor doesn't just come loose and start scraping and grinding and burn up. Because I've seen that happen on at least 2 units, and I'm sure it's pretty common. In order to access the actual hood there, you can see these things are hinged, which is a fantastic design. And sometimes they'll have a screw, but oftentimes the hood guys take them out and never put them back in. So this one doesn't have one. But right there on the flywheel, we've got lock nut set screws. So we actually have to loosen these 2 nuts, and then we can loosen the set screws. The lock nuts are 1/2 inch. Just gotta loosen them like a turn or 2. That'll allow you to use your 5/16 square. So now the blower fan blade should be loose. Sometimes they'll have to add a little oil on there. We're just gonna pull down on it and see if it slides for us. Isn't doing it immediately. Try to break it loose. Now, when these things are stuck on here, it's a real pain. They make a puller that can grab this hub, but because this one has these little support ribs, that style of puller does not work on here. So hopefully we'll get her busted loose and be able to actually drop it down, but this one feels kind of stuck. So I can take my crescent wrench, just clamp it here on the flat and try to twist. Oh, there we go. So I got the shafts to actually move. If you can get it busted loose like that, usually you don't have a problem. Broke the nozzle off of my WD-40. So I'm just oiling this up with some regular oil. But obviously some penetrating fluid or WD-40, something like that would be a lot better. Okay. So we've got that loose. We're going to go ahead and close this again. And up top, we're going to go ahead and remove these. These are just little 3/8. Pulling against the shaft, trying to get it to slide out. Side. See, so I've just got her tipped. What this will allow me to do is hopefully get a wrench back in there on the shaft. Okay, there we go, I got it. So now what that'll allow us to do is wiggle the shaft. See, so I was just wiggling the shaft like this while pulling. That really helps to get it off when it's stuck like that. So this unit was manufactured in 2015, which really isn't that long ago. But I kind of wonder if the reason these motors are failing so often is partly they're cooling through these little holes partly here. I think they're an air over style motor, so they need to have some air going over the motor. And how they do that is with these little fins on the top of the blower wheel right there. Since this is spinning, it creates a pull of air through here. And that's why they have this open shroud. So this is air for the motor. It's going through this little chase. It's supposed to go through the motor and, you know, get pushed out of the hood right here. So there should be air constantly going over that motor. But look at this. This is cottonwood fuzz, cattail fuzz, got some dead insects in there, all kinds of stuff. I think these motors, they just end up plugging with debris and then they don't cool properly. Once you get that elevated temperature, your bearing is not going to last nearly as long as it's supposed to. So I think something that would be a good addition to these would be some kind of air filter on this outside. Like these units all have this style of air filter. Catches all the big stuff, lets the small particles through, but small particles aren't really a problem. It's the cattail fuzz and that kind of stuff that really causes problems. So if we had a little air filter right here that could be removed and rinsed out and put back on, that would really help keep our motors from burning out like this. Because, I mean, it's really common. I bet if we look at any one of these, they're going to be pretty plugged up like that. And maybe a service that needs to be provided is actually cleaning that shroud out. I guess you would need to take compressed air and blast it down in there while the thing is running to kind of get that stuff kicked out. But anyway, that's besides the point. We're going to carry on with the installation. So what we do is center that in there. Put a little oil on this motor shaft. And that's interesting. Look at that. These faces are not cut at a 90 degree. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That's super weird. I've never seen that. So on the newer ones, for some reason, they've cut these at, I don't know, a little over 90 degrees. Maybe like 110 degrees instead of 90. Usually this flat is, you know, a perfect perpendicular 90 degrees to this flat. So that's kind of weird. Never seen that before. We also have a cooling rotor in there. Just made out of plastic. Now I'm looking down into the hole of this. I want to put this shaft in so that the flats are toward the set screws. Which looks like the set screws are about here and here. We'll mount the motor and then tip it up and push the flywheel onto the shaft. Those are all tight. We'll go ahead and plug this in. We've got it turned the right way so that the green wire lines up with the green, black, red, orange, blue, white. So yep, lined up properly. And then this is reversible, meaning we can unplug this, rotate it, and plug it back in so it alternates which wires are connected. And the other one was set up yellow to yellow, purple to purple, so I don't think we'll have to change the rotation on this. This is the same model motor as what was in here. It's embarrassing that I don't have regular, like WD-40 or something. So I need to tighten the set screw first. Want to give her a spin, make sure there's no scraping noises. Sounds good to me. And we're going to restore power to this thing, see what she sounds like. You can also watch our rotation here. Make sure our motor goes that way when it comes on. Which it appears to be doing so. Beautiful. Just like that, we are finished up. We've got the new motor installed, and now we just gotta toss this thing off the roof and carry all of our tools down. So anyway, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you later. Just wanted to illustrate this. The suction that's on this is incredible. Like, it will just suck your t-shirt right into that hole. So it doesn't have a problem getting air through when it's not plugged. So it's Carolina Products Incorporated. If we go through here, this thing has a contactor for every large piece of equipment in the store. So if we go to kitchen and exhaust fans, we can see which ones are on. And you can see our ovens are on. And we actually fired the ovens up because previously the ovens were just kicking off after about a minute. Maybe some sort of temp probe in the thermos or in the ductwork. I'm not exactly sure how they do that. See all these contactors? All of these contactors are controlled by this control group here, and they send the power to the outlets on the ovens and all that happy stuff.